Hey y'all, welcome into this edition of Off the Front Porch, our weekly podcast exploring the Southern experience. My name is Tony Ballman, and I appreciate you coming along on my trek across the highways and the dirt roads of the American South as I seek out curious personalities, explore places of great interest and beauty, and of course immerse ourselves into extraordinary events, some of which get us muddy. And along the way, we discover the joy of what it means to be Southern. Today, we remain in CAYCE, South Carolina, a burgeoning suburb of the Palmetto State's capital city in Columbia. Last week, we came here to spotlight the upstart Carolina Blues Preservation Society. And today, on Off the Front Porch, we open our ears and our hearts to learn more about the overall arts scene in this town in CAYCE, South Carolina, and we are here in the heart of CAYCE's River Arts District at a place called the Art Lot with the mayor of CAYCE, Elise Partin. Mayor, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Really appreciate it. I must confess that until about a month ago, I don't think I had ever set foot in CAYCE, South Carolina. Now I've been here about 5 times over the past month, and I love it. Kind of fallen in love with this because I'm a bit of an arts nerd, and so when I land here in the River Arts District of CAYCE, I kind of feel like I'm amongst my tribe.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad. We want it to be welcoming in that way.
Well, it is very much welcoming in that way. We were here for last week's show to spotlight the Carolina Blues Preservation Society, which is their headquarters are just going to be about a half a block down the way inside the Carolina Arts Cafe and Studio. And next week we're going to spotlight the proprietor of that extraordinary place. And then this week I wanted to chat with you because I'm excited about what's happening overall here in the Arts District.
Thank you.
Well, we're at a place called the Art Lot. And before we really dig deep into the arts, I want to give folks sort of a backstory of CAYCE because anybody who's lived in South Carolina for any amount of time and speak the language of Carolinians, quite often they say CAYCE, West Columbia, all together like it's one word. But I'm discovering after having been here several times over the past month, CAYCE has an identity and a personality all its own.
Absolutely.
Tell me a bit about CAYCE, about the town itself.
Yeah, it's so fun. And I love that you've been able to pick that up already. CAYCE really does have a strong identity in who we are. We have generations who have grown up here. And, our job as mayor and council is to do things that take care of this city in ways that make the next generation want to stay here as well. But we want it to be welcoming to everybody, people who've never been here before and who are coming to visit. It's meant to be welcoming and kind. So CAYCE was born out of the banks of the Congaree River. Mm-hmm. We actually have archaeological proof of habitation from 12,000 years ago. And funny story, I am told that while I'm the first female mayor of our city, I am not the first female leader of this area. So there was an indigenous tribe that I was told by our former museum director had a female leader, and they used to carry her up on a platform on their shoulders. So I'm still waiting for that.
I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one.
Me neither.
But it's funny you should say that because right here in the Art Lot there is a piece of sculpture that celebrates mythologically, but it is a female figure. Yes. So when you said that, I went right to this piece. It mythologically celebrates the formation of the Congaree River,
right? And
yet the central figure celebrated on this sculpture is a woman.
Yeah, so we hope people will come and see. So it's a gorgeous sculpture, and it's on a piece of granite that was donated from Martin Marietta, which is a quarry that's right here in our River Arts District. They're great community partners, but a beautiful piece of stone. And it's this iron sculpture. She is the the water bearer, the river maiden, and she's holding 2 jugs of water, but as those waters are pouring out, they're coming together to form one. And so the Congaree River is 2 rivers that come together, the Broad and the Saluda, and we're born out of the banks of the Congaree River. This was an important place for people to live because of the river and the richness that was here.
It's a beautiful area, and you mentioned we are here probably within a 7-iron shot of the Riverwalk here in CAYCE. That's got to be an important part of the overall quality of life here as well.
It really is. So really all throughout our city, about 80 to 85% of our residents live within 1 mile of a park. So our green spaces are really important to us, but that Riverwalk itself is very special. So we have the most miles of Riverwalk in the entire region. You can come and get on our Riverwalk and go for miles without seeing a car.
Really?
It's safe, it's lovely, it's gorgeous. You'll see parts of this trail that might remind you of the upstate, and you're on parts that have the river, and it's just really, it's peaceful, it's joyful. My kids grew up there. It's a place where you'll see a blue-tailed skink, and you'll see fish in the river and birds that you might not have seen before. There's an eagle's nest down there right now that the eagle couple had a baby a couple of months ago, and but they keep that nest down there, so it's a really special place.
It seems so, and I'm going to spend a little time a little later today down on the Riverwalk, and looking forward to it. Now, this River Arts District, if I'm entirely authentic, it seems to sit in an area that might be easily described as an industrial area. Where did an arts district evolve from an area that has warehouses, access to rail, and that type of thing?
Yeah, so it's we're kind of here at 2 main streets, and this art lot right here is on State Street, but it ends and turns and goes up Frink Street, and Frink is very industrial. In fact, off of Frink Street is another street called Foreman, and we have Steel Hands Brewery there, paying homage to the steel plant that's across the street that makes rebar. Their logo has a hand that's holding a piece of rebar.
I had no idea I was that close to Steel Hands Brewery.
Yes.
This could be a very dangerous day for
It's going to be a great day for you. But that plant does pay homage to the industrial area, and it is very industrial right there on Frink Street. But State Street in particular was the original heart of our city. And right behind us, actually, this brick building right next to the art lot was our original city hall. And it's on a corner, and if you look at the side street, you'll see 2 garage bay doors that you're like, oh, my pickup truck would fit in there. No, that was the fire truck bay doors. It's just the fire trucks were so much smaller back then. So, 100 years ago when our city was founded, that was our city hall. And so this whole area was languishing. It was shuttered. There was nothing happening. So we had to figure out what we were going to do to bring life back to this area.
And it was the arts. Why the arts?
Yes. Well, the U.S. Conference of Mayors does a good job of talking about how arts are an economic development engine. For us, that has been absolutely true, and people can see and touch and feel the difference that it's made. In 2015, I got invited to participate in the Mayor's Institute for City Design. It is a collaboration of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the National Endowment of the Arts, and the American Institute of Architects. They only take 8 mayors from across the nation at a time. So it's really a huge honor for our city that I got to participate. Didn't cost our city a dime, but I had to bring an opportunity or challenge to work on while I was there. And what I brought was this shuttered area, because there was nothing down here except the building that's on the corner of State and Frink Street that used to be a bait and tackle shop, and it had a painting of the lizard woman on it, which is, Southern folklore. We have the lizard man, but in CAYCE we had the painting of the lizard woman.
This is a place where female empowerment seems alive and well.
In all its different forms. So that was the only open business down here. But while I had been trying to work to revitalize this area, I learned a term when I was there called pre-vitalization. I didn't know it. I knew what revitalization was, but pre-vitalization is the art of what's possible. And we had to show people what was possible. We had to remind them what this could be and remind them what it used to be, because so many people remember walking down here to go to the men's clothing store and to go to the movie theater. And this was the place where they would run into people and connect. So we, about a year and a half later, threw our first soiree on state. It's a street party in the spring, great family-friendly fun. We have music and food and artisans, and we had an amazing turnout. Over 1,500 people that had come to that first-time event. But we did something else. We went to these building owners and all these shuttered buildings, and we said, hey, if you will just clean out the inside of your building, we will host artists inside. And so about 5 to 7 years before that, I had started the CAYCE Arts Guild and connecting several amazing artists that we have in our city, and that had grown. So when we held this first street party, the building owners that did clean out the inside of their building, we took some of those artists and we said, hey, if you want to showcase your art, please do so. There's a free opportunity. And so people came to that street party, had fun, enjoyed themselves, but also went inside these spaces. And they looked at the art, they bought some art, but while they were in the buildings, they went, I kind of like this space. And so before we even held our second soiree on state, we had a business open, and then another business, and then another business.
Well, we talked about the pre-vitalization, as you said, of this community, this CAYCE. So you went from there, this sort of brainstorming session with the Council of Mayors, to what we have here, and you're saying it was an evolving process where people had to fall in love with the idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, to show people what was possible. I'm one of those people who I can't walk into a space and have the vision. There are people, I have friends who can do this, and they can go, oh, it can be this and this and this, and that is not who I am. And, I think for an area like this, we had a job to show people what it could be, to let them envision that and to have fun and dreaming and what it could be, and the small businesses that they want to see down here. So now we have Peacewise Coffee, we have state-of-the-art gallery and pottery studio, we have Trini Lime Caribbean Cafe, we have Dr. Taylor's Place, the Carolina Arts Cafe, and the Carolina Blues Preservation Society, and so much more. And that's what it's about. It's about creating these fun spaces. We got grants for this space that we're sitting in that is an art lot. It provides more parking for the CAYCE River Arts District, but behind me is a shipping container stage. So, not really expensive, kind of fun, great vibe.
It is, and it fits with the kind of almost sort of, postmodern industrial feel of this area.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so it's meant to fit in seamlessly. But, bringing businesses down here, but also bringing people together. We've done other things that we call economic development through creativity, and have had a lot of success with. We just partnered with the Cola Jazz, which is a regional organization that's really prominent, phenomenal music, lots of musicians that they support and elevate. And so we did pop-up jazz concerts, thanks to some grant funding from the Central Carolina Community Foundation, and one of them was here. So these fans that we have here, that came from the grant, so that we, can have more musicians out here year-round. And there's AV equipment that musicians can just, call and book and say, hey, I want to be down here, and borrow the equipment. We did some in some more dilapidated spaces. Our name, CAYCE, our city's name, is named after William J. CAYCE, and right past where the Carolina Blues Preservation headquarters is a building that's the William J. Casey store. That was the original crossroads store from the Low Country to the Upstate, where they would trade and meet and share goods and all of those things.
So it's right on a trade route. I mean, historically,
yes.
so
Yes.
there's so much history in the soil here, and you've got the access to the river, and now you have this downtown here, the State Street area that really is. It's going to be an incredible incubator for the arts, especially the vision, which we'll explore next week with Dr. Taylor, of what's going to happen in the space. Her space is already happening, but adjacent space, she's looking at some really ambitious stuff that I think is going to revolutionize this downtown.
Yes.
And we won't telegraph that too much, but listen next week,
tuned,
and you will hear about this. Now, you mentioned they're a great community partner, but I still have to ask the question. Does it give you pause that right in the midst of all of this sort of arts vibrancy, there is an industrial quarry?
No. If you look at what Steel Hands Brewing has done, it's
I plan to look at that real later today.
Please report back. I can't wait to hear.
All right.
That is a great example of how you embrace the industrial vibe into the vibrancy of a community. So Steel Hands Brewery, is right across the street from a major steel recycling plant. It's really phenomenal what happens there. And, and then, some more of if we back up, it's pretty unusual for this much industry to be in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
For businesses like CMC, for the Martin Marietta Quarry to be here. But they're good community partners, and there's ways where that becomes a benefit to the community, not a detriment.
Well, I mean, if you look at a lot of folks when they are decorating their apartments, they are going with kind of an industrial vibe. They're going for that. Yeah. They're going for that feel of the marriage of this is something that is industry is art, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of that vibe in decorating. And so I would say then that by that logic, it's not that much of a departure that you would have a vibrant arts community living alongside industrial partners.
Absolutely. No, and in some ways, I think it is more natural. I mentioned starting the CAYCE Arts Guild, and one of the original people that came to some of those early meetings was a really phenomenal painter who lived in Casey named Joe Byrne, Byrne. He has since passed away, but he painted these industrial pieces that might just be like the wheel of a train.
Oh, yeah.
And it was stunning how you could make something like that so phenomenal. Two other artists, husband and wife, Venetia and John Sharp, some of the original artists here as well. He could take metal and make it look fluid. He had these pieces hanging from the ceiling of their art gallery that was like a turtle or shark, and it looked like they were swimming in the ocean. I really am such an art lover because I find those things amazing.
Well, when you talk about repurposing things, you guys have a major project that's coming, and I got to say that this was exciting to me, particularly when I did the research, that you are going to have a piece like this in Casey. Talk to me a little bit about it. Just go ahead and let's pull the veil back on this, because I got to say, this is one of the reasons I will be totally authentic. This is one of the reasons in the back of my mind I'm thinking, I find me a job up here.
Yes.
I'm finding me a place to live in Casey.
Yes.
Because this feels like my tribe.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you for that affirmation. So what we're talking about is a piece of work by a Danish artist named Thomas Dambo, Dambo, and he builds these gigantic sculptures that are meant to help people to know that beautiful things can be made out of reclaimed materials.
Yes.
So they're trolls, joyful, delightful. Wait till you look at some of the pictures online. They're all over the world. and they bring people together. They're meant to get us out in nature because we're healthier when we're out in nature. And to just, have one of his pieces here is really special. But it's also more of this economic development through creativity that we've become really known for and good at, which is, it's a piece of art. But what we know is the return on investment from other communities that have had one of these pieces of art in their community is anywhere from a 4 to 12 time return on investment. It's really insane. But people follow these trolls from all over the world. And it's not like he has a troll factor and he's like, let me plop one here. No, he's coming to visit us and to get to know us and to know all of these stories that your listeners are beginning to know now, to learn about our history and our culture and our natural resources and all the materials. And then he's going to go home and he will create what is CAYCE's own troll.
I have gotten that from actually looking at his work, that what he does is very adaptive.
Yes.
He truly is a one-of-a-kind artist that creates one-of-a-kind pieces based on the communities that they're in. And unless I miss something on the map, this is going to be the only one in South Carolina.
It is. It's the first one in South Carolina. We might be bragging just a little bit.
I think you got every reason to brag because, I mean, these things are all over the world.
Yeah.
And they are, as you said, they are a magnet for people. There's a cult almost. I hate to use that term, but that has developed around the work of Thomas Danbo.
Yes, a huge following because they're joyful pieces. They're fun to go see.
Yes.
I just happened to see one. I happened to see one on my Instagram feed probably about a decade ago, and was just wowed. And then, maybe a couple years later, saw one again, and I showed it to my husband. I was like, oh my gosh, don't you know that one of these lives on the Riverwalk already? Like, doesn't it just fit there? And he's like, yeah, wow, that's amazing. Never thought we'd be in the position to be able to literally bring one here to the Riverwalk.
And as you said, it is the arts in general, but particularly this piece, is going to be, or should be, a driver for economic revitalization.
Right. I mean, listen to what you just said. You said, look, that comes here, and all I got to do is find a job in this area, and I'm moving to CAYCE. That's the whole thing. And everybody, is like, oh, well, then I'm going to come and visit, and I'm going to go to your restaurants. I'm going to stay in your hotel. All of a sudden, we need more hotels. Like, if people, when they understand how economic development happens, it's based on counts.
Oh, yeah.
And so the more people that we have to come here, then the more small businesses we need, and we can support the small businesses we have and add to that. That means more places for the high school student to work after school and in the summers, and all of us to benefit. It also, it takes tax pressure off of our residents, because it means that visitors that are coming here are spending money here, and that brings in revenue that helps to make our budget work, and it doesn't have to come all from our residents. So it's really a gift in so many different ways.
And as you drive into CAYCE and you go off into these little neighborhoods, there's some charming homes here. Yeah. You've got all this open space, you've got green space, you've got space that's artistically vibrant.
Yeah.
And what's the long-term vision for this? What's the how do you see the arts as a continuing driver for growth, revitalization, and continued vibrancy in CAYCE?
Well, I think your listeners can pick it up from the other interviews that you're doing here, which is, we started with something small. We started the CAYCE Arts Guild. That's grown and is vibrant. And then we did the soiree on state that we hold every spring down here, and that's created more small business and brought life back to the original heart of our city, which then, spills off into the rest of the city. And but then we had, so Dr. Taylor, before she moved here, she emailed me and she said almost the same thing you said, which is interesting now that I think about it. I'm coming because I love what you're creating here. so to see people want to be a part of this, we started it, but now it's the people's to continue to move forward and to enjoy and to, look at what she's doing. She brought her business here and it's vibrant and it's such a delight, but also the Carolina Blues preservation. There's just so much more that, it's kind of, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that's not a cliche. That's entirely true. All right, so we've talked about the visual arts. We've talked about the performing arts. You have a beautiful space here. I got to continue to watch the calendar to see these outdoor space. I would love to come and see a concert here at the Art Lot because this reminds me a lot of a place back home in Aiken that has some very similar things going on. What else? What else is there? I mean, where if I'm an artist and I'm sitting out there and what am I going to do? Where am I going to find my tribe?
Yeah.
What else do you see being a part of the overall vision of arts in the River Arts District in CAYCE?
The possibilities are limitless. But what I would say is go get involved with the CAYCE Arts Guild. They're a great organization, and it's not all CAYCE residents that are a part of it. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be a CAYCE resident to be a part of the CAYCE Arts Guild. But, for instance, they're going to be a big part of what happens with Thomas Dambo in this big art installation. It's healthy when we bring art from other places, but this is also elevating our CAYCE Artists Guild.
Grow your own.
Yes, absolutely. So that's the point, is the synergy and all of that. There's another cool piece when I say, the possibilities are limitless, is a little bit further downstream on one of the ends of the CAYCE River Walk is the 12,000-year history park. It is a place where there's proof of habitation from over 12,000 years ago. There is already over a dozen archaeologically significant sites. The National Park Service has trained our volunteers to do free tours on a lot of the stories that of what happened there, both from indigenous tribes and Revolutionary War battles. It's a really special, significant place. We also, there's a dragonfly that just was over there flitting on one of the beautiful plants, and it reminded me, we have a lot that's special here for a city our size, to be as small as we are. The richness of what's here from our historical, cultural, natural resources, but also our residents. So Rudy Mankey is a treasure in many ways. Nationally, state, but also he was a CAYCE resident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he passed away recently, but he was a CAYCE resident, and what can we do to bring his story? And if you don't know him, he's worth Googling as well, of the way that he knew so much about nature. We would get him to do these nature walks.
Longtime host of Nature Scene on South Carolina ETV, Rudy Mankey.
Yes.
Incredible. Yes. Yeah, and again, an incredible naturalist.
Yes.
An incredible historian.
Yes.
CAYCE, South Carolina sounds like the mecca for nerds. This might be. It's like if you are a nerd anywhere, if you're a nature nerd, if you're an arts nerd, if you're an industry nerd, if you're a history, if you like to walk, if you like to hike, if you like to paddle, I assume there's a paddle access.
Absolutely.
You pretty much have it all here in CAYCE.
We do.
Calling all nerds, CAYCE is your town right now. That's what the title is. This is going to be Nerd Mecca. I think I've decided that the title of this is going to be a Nerd Mecca.
We would wear that as a badge of honor. It's so phenomenal.
Because it is. This is all calling all nerds. Yeah. This is the place to be.
Yeah.
Elise Partin, thank you for spending time with me today in your beautiful art lot. Before we get gone, there's another sculpture that's right here at the beginning of this art, right when you pull into it. Tell me about this piece. It is an industrial piece, if you will.
Yes, so it's this diamond-shaped piece of metal.
Looks like something out of Star Trek.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like it might have just landed there, but it has shapes cut out of it, and so at night it lights up, and then the shapes project on the ground. So it's come and see it for yourself. It's spectacular. It was created by a CAYCE resident, Will Bryan, and he did some of the painting of some of our buildings that they're not necessarily murals, but we call them art buildings. So they're painted uniquely in ways that the one that's right across from where the Lizard Woman used to be it pays homage to the old Southeastern Railroad.
Speaking of which, right on cue.
Yes, right. Thank you, Train. And so, yeah, and I mean, there's so many great murals that are down here. Please come and enjoy our CAYCE River Arts District and have lunch, eat, get coffee, go to the brewery, shop in our shops. There's lots of art galleries down here. It's a place to come and have some fun, and then go on our river walk.
You built my day for me. You have actually built my itinerary for me. What a great place.
Glad.
Elise Partin, the mayor of CAYCE, South Carolina, who is pulling back the veil, if you will, on what's happening here in the CAYCE River Arts District. There's a nerd going to be looking for property here once this show is over. Thank you again for coming by with me. I appreciate it. Be sure to listen to this episode on all of your major platforms. Check out and like and follow our YouTube channel. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Tony Ballman checking out next week. Don't forget, we're going to stay planted here in CAYCE, and we're going to look at another person, a brilliant, beautiful, incredible woman, like they all seem to be here in CAYCE, that has planted her roots right here. You'll meet her next week on Off the Front Porch. Thanks for listening.